is such an exciting day. Am I on? Can you hear me? Good. I'm Kate Bennett, immediate past chair of the National Women's Hall of Fame Board of Trustees. On behalf of our wonderful team of staff, board members, Jeannie Giovanini, who's here today, Benzo Case, who's here today, and so many volunteers, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the National Women's Hall of Fame. We're excited. I like to stand here and imagine this place where history happened, where there were falls right outside this building, powering this mill and other mills that are no longer standing. I like to imagine standing here in 1844, when the leaders of this mill were leading abolition efforts, and then in 1848, when Seneca Falls became a meeting place for women in the cause who also dared to make the case for women's equality and equity. I like to take on the courage of those women who ignited change that slowly took root in our country and in our laws. It's my privilege today to introduce our Lieutenant Governor, Kathy Hochul. She understands this region and what this state have to offer our country and the world. You are an intrepid traveler, and we have seen you here so often, and we appreciate it. Your leadership shows that you really understand the potential that Western New York State and Central New York State have to the economic vitality of this state and of this country. You visit us early and often, and we love seeing you whenever you come to town. So thank you for encouraging us all along this tourism corridor and making sure that we work together to achieve great things and to create meaningful experiences that attract the nation. My colleagues in this room from Seneca Falls, Mike Ferrara and Mitch Rowe, thank you for your leadership, both of you, and thank you to all the people we have worked so diligently and well together to plan for the future of this community. It's been an honor to be a part of that. So please join me in welcoming Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you very much, Kate, for always making me feel so welcome. I like what you've done with the place. It's come a long, long way. And Jeannie knows this too. The first time I was here, I think in 2015, we were counting the pigeons flying out of the ceiling. It was quite an extraordinary journey as I walked upstairs and went up the flights to the top floor. And I said, "You're going to do what with this?" And I'm a big thinker, I'm a dreamer as well, but I really thought that this was just an incredible vision that you had for this, the reuse of this building, where thousands of women had toiled and worked here and made their lives here, became part of the story of Seneca Falls, and perhaps they also joined the 300 individuals who gathered here in 1848, who set this country on an entirely different course, changed forever with the initiation of the concept of women's rights in this country. It all began here. So this is an extraordinary place. But it's not just an extraordinary place, it's a place full of extraordinary people. And I've loved coming here countless times. Joelle's seen me on a boat even a few times and been very helpful to me. Thank you so much. But also our supervisor. And I remember it was kind of amusing because I think we were here literally like the day or so after your election. We were able to give you somehow full credit for the DRI, but it was, you took it with your predecessor and all the work that's been done by this community. But so Supervisor Ferrara, I want to thank you for continuing your leadership and your patience, you and the county manager, Mitch Rowe, the patience that it's been taking to get to this point. We weren't counting on a pandemic to intercede between that wonderful day in November 2019 when I stood here, and it was like the Oscars, all of you who were here. It was just like most exciting day in a long, long time. And the energy was so palpable. People really believing that, yes, we can actually take this great history, but also launch into an even better future. So that's what would happen here. We got through most of the pandemic. I hope everybody gets vaccinated. We have to keep our numbers up because that is our signal that we can all return to normal. So through this process, though, I know people on the REDC continued working, and I want to recognize Hilda Rosario and Escher for her great work on the Regional Economic Development Council. Any other members of our council? I can't recognize quite everybody with the mask on, but also those of you who just are part of the community who really believe in the concept of not just this story, but the larger story. And I think that's one thing that's not lost when the tourists come to town here. This community has so much going for me. Who else could lay claim to being the place where the concept of one of the most iconic movies in our nation's history was created? My husband loves that show. I have watched it so many times. It's a Wonderful Life. And he comes with me here and he wants to stand on the bridge and he wants to have it all go through his mind exactly what happened. So there's just great stories here. So it's not, my point is it's not a one-dimensional community. And also the vitality of the Gould Hotel, I've stayed there many times, the history, it almost just speaks to you through the walls and what's been done there to give it such a personality in the restaurants. And yes, I've even played darts a couple times downtown, and I think it's a very authentic place. It's a place where you feel at home immediately, and I think that's something that you don't take for granted. And this is something that I can do as someone who's visited just about every community in the state. I've traveled a little bit, as Kate referenced, around the planet 15 and a half times now, and it's 24,000 each time, so you do the math. It's been a little bit, but I probably spent more time than most here. Because it is such a welcoming place, and it's the inspiration that I derive from the women here. And I just posted a picture on Mother's Day of the influence of my job on my adult children, and it was a picture of me standing with my son and his new wife under the women's rights sign. I wanted to bring them here and make sure that my new daughter-in-law understood that she has very strong rights, and my husband, my son, a feminist son, understood that. So I just brought it. Yeah, you got to come here and understand this. So this has been a great inspiration to me and my family. The Heritage Center, the Sculpture Trail, the canals. There's so much here, and beyond here. This is the great place to come first and stay and enjoy, but also this whole history trail, the quality trail, the whole idea that we have this just down the road in Auburn, the Equal Rights Heritage Center, where people can learn the stories of the indigenous peoples and the abolitionists and so many other formative social movements that all began here. And the Erie Canal is really one of the reasons why that happened. You could bring people from other places and other experiences to come here and to see what we have here and to settle here and to really change it, as I mentioned, the course of history so many times. But sometimes the community can start out really strong and vibrant, and then intervening factors, tough economies, competition, a lot of the mills didn't make it, a lot of the tanneries, the industrial facilities didn't make it. No sweat on Seneca Falls. They didn't make it in my hometown of Buffalo. That was our bread and butter, the manufacturing jobs, good paying jobs that just didn't survive economic changes. So what do? You rethink the future. And what we're talking about here today, winning this $10 million is going to set you on a different course for the future. And it is not a future that has been predetermined by bureaucrats in Albany. Truly not. It all came from the ground up. The people of your DRI committee and the work of the elected officials and the people in the chamber and the economic development groups and the REDC, all of you came together with the community participation to come up with a common vision and what we could do in a community this size with $10 million. I spent 14 years as a local government official. If anyone had come to me and says, you just won $10 million to your community, I would have thought I'd die and went to heaven, because it just doesn't happen. So this is your moment. This could be your chance for generations to have an impact that you'll never have again, to have that wow factor. Multiple major projects going on simultaneously that all finish within a couple of years of each other, and then you look back and say, yes, on this day very excited to, I'll stop filibustering now, maybe for my time in Congress, but I will tell you the details of the projects that have been selected. Again, these came from you, and I will give them the numbers associated with them. And one, it says establish the National Women's Hall of Fame as a destination. I already thought it was a destination. I come here all the time. But on top of the $3.5 million already invested by the state, we thought you could use another $1 million to renovate the smokestack, install the new permanent exhibits, and construction of a code-compliant elevator and clear up access to the upper floor. I'm very excited about that elevator because I did walk to the top floor. So it sounds really good to me. Again, it's about making accessibility important with disabilities to experience the whole panorama of what we have in this building and that smokestack. Yeah, all this is going to go toward this building back in a way that people will appreciate what this building used to look like in its prime. I did mention it's a wonderful life, so how about $912,000 to transform the museum? As I've been to the museum, and I just think that there's so much more potential to tell that story and have the resource. And this has also always been a funding issue. The concept there is there, the appreciation for the story and its origins here, but also just to have that money to really spice it up a bit and have the exhibits and the interactivity created. I think it's going to be fabulous. So thank you for putting in that application for that amount of money. But we also have a train station. Train stations, they also tell a great story of bringing people here and people leaving from here to go off to war and go off to other places. So we're going to activate the State Street Station, $605,000 to renovate one of those train stations. But more than just being a train station, it is going to be a full-service Italian restaurant and banquet hall. So let's have some fun there, right? Okay, this is going to be fabulous. Also, you know, we saw during the pandemic that so many of our downtown businesses, many of them struggle. I literally walk down the streets, I pay attention to the businesses, but also vacant buildings. And this is because I come out of a community that, when my mother started a small flower shop, it was right after Bethlehem Steel left town, and my community was, you know, unemployment was probably 17, 18%. Everybody, including my family members, left town. So I used to walk down the street and see all the out of business vacant signs that went on for years. So I'm very sensitive to this. When I see a vacancy sign, I want to make sure that we figure out what can be the best use of that property, because it takes down a whole community, it takes down a whole neighborhood. It affects the sight of people when you see vacancy signs and abandoned storefronts. So we had some problems, some of them in the past, had a great plan, got hit by COVID, and the ones who were able to hang on to that were hit even harder. You know, trying to figure out how to keep it going, a little restaurant, how they make money when they have capacity limits, and when people actually do takeout. What about the other events, and just in the hotels? My God, nobody was traveling. So in order to help them get back on their feet, and others come back, and others to come here and fill the vacant buildings, we have a $600,000 building improvement fund, which will be grant funding for downtown building owners to help their interior and exterior improvements. I have to tell you, having started a business association in a hard-hit little community, the facades tell a story. They say you have pride, you have confidence, feel good about your community, or is it kind of run down and tired, desperately needs a facelift? We can do this. This is about scale. We're not talking about bringing back Manhattan today. We're talking about just a few blocks where first-time visitors come down and they see shiny new, polished up, maybe a gold door handle or hand-carved gold leaf signage. You know, the building across my mother's flower shop used to have handwritten signs, stuff, six-pack of beer, $1. Like, oh my God, things just like literally scribbled and taped in the window. That just takes you down, my friends. So let's work with our community. Not everybody knows how to do this. I mean, whatever your business are, you may not be an expert in what usually is going to be appealing. So let's help them. Let's cultivate a common theme and help them with this money to restore their buildings. I mentioned the Gould Hotel, $405,000 for the Gould Hotel to reinvigorate this real gem. Renovate the historic Huntington building, $400,000 for that project. launched the Culinary Arts Studio Departments, $400,000 there, and bringing people, the creative craft, the artisans, the culinary experts, bring them to downtown. People love living in downtowns. When I was growing up, the American dream was to move out, the picket fence, stay away from your neighbors, have your own driveway. Eventually, it got to everybody wanted their garage door opener, so you never even saw the neighbors. You didn't even talk to anybody. Your car came in, then you went out. And you lost that connectivity in many of our suburban areas. People desperately want to be with other people, especially after this year. They want to see each other walking down the street. They want to be able to live downtown, maybe a little apartment above the storefront, stroll to the downtown restaurant, and just walk along the waterfront, the trails here, and just embrace a world-class quality of life that those of you who live here may just take for granted. And I assure you, you should not do that. So let's continue building places for not just young people. I think we should be appealing to empty nesters who don't need that big house in the suburbs anymore, who want to feel younger. So I hang around downtown, who want to feel part of a more vital scene, and we can create that mixture of generations. Also creating residential units at the Finger Lakes Health Institute, $400,000 for that project. Converting vacant second floor classrooms at the former St. Patrick's School into 10 affordable residential units in the mixed-use facility. Affordable housing, workforce housing is what we call it. It's also some people who work in a community, maybe in hospitality, they work in a restaurant, they clean the hotel. They don't have to live far out. They can live right now where they work, and that means affordable housing project. How about renovating the Daniels Block, $253,000 for converting vacant second floor space in the Daniels Block into 5 new accessible residential loft units serviced by a three-stop elevator. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Look at every single building. There's vacant space above a storefront. Ask the question, why? Why isn't someone living up there? Someone who will spend money in the community and work there and be part of the fabric of this great downtown area. Also, North Canal Site enhancements. This is a big number, $3.6 million. How about that? People's park improvements, including new pathways and decks overlooking the canal, burying utility lines. I hate utility lines. No offense to utility people. But whenever you can get them underground, that visual in front to you, when you're trying to take a picture of something spectacular. I've stood across the street trying to take a picture of this, like I'm trying to get around the utility line, so I know all about this. Then we could have better access to the canal from downtown. I think that's going to be one of your signature projects, because so many people, I do believe that there'll be even more people traveling by boat, because they don't want to get on a plane and go to Europe anymore. They're going to take that money and invest it in staycations. I've promoted staycations all over the state. And people are rediscovering the charm of our upstate communities, but also those who either rent a boat. There's all these places you can rent the Erie Canal boats, stay on them for a week, for 10 days. That's a first-rate vacation. So let's continue working on our improvements along the waterfront. Improve the Heritage and Information Center of Seneca Falls, $533,000. How about that? We also enhanced community recreation, $324,000, and we'll have street league obstacles to the Seneca Falls Skate Park and 88 flying kayak launch at the Community Recreation Center. Those sound great. Obstacles usually sound like a bad thing, but if you're a skateboarder, you want obstacles. As the mother of a skateboarder, you like obstacles. I love skate parks because so many young people, it's the way they socialize. They may not be on the football team or the softball team. This is their sport. And if you do it in a safe way, they're not going to be going up and down the street where the business owners aren't exactly thrilled. Believe me, I lived to this. I worked as a town board member putting in a skate park. It was one of the best things I did to help the quality of life. Businesses loved it, but most of all the parents and the kids loved it. So I believe in the importance of this. Let's enhance the sculpture trail, $177,000. A new gateway entry plaza. Upgrade the trail surface. I've strolled down there a lot. I love going down there. I'll make it more accessible to all, and with the addition of descriptive sculpture plaques. Yeah, you need those. I was trying to figure out what everything was. Okay, so let's get a little more of the story captured along the sculpture trail. So there is so much going on, and what again? This is not over a 10-year period. This is announced today. Bingo, go. This is the starting line. This is the governor starting the race right now. Let's get these started. So in a very short time, the construction's over. You don't want to have a decade of construction. You want to get these changes done underway as soon as possible so they can be almost simultaneous groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. So then you can declare that this era has ended, that we have launched ourselves into an amazing future. And I tell you, my friends, the best is yet to come. So thank you very much.
I'm going to skip the microphone.
Lieutenant Governor Hochul, welcome back to Seneca Falls, the birthplace of the women's rights movement. It was 152 years ago this month, in 1869, that Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony formed the National Women's Suffrage Association, which became the foundation of the women's rights movement. On behalf of the town board and the people of Seneca Falls, I would like to thank Governor Cuomo and his administration for providing this wonderful opportunity to the town of Seneca Falls and similar communities throughout the state. We are very proud and humbled to represent the state of New York. It is the most recent Downtown Revitalization recipient. A tremendous amount of time and effort went into this project, and today we are celebrating the dedication and commitment of the many people who had a hand in making this all happen. I would like to recognize some of those people today that had a direct impact on the project. First of all, Greg Zellers and Joelle Murray Hurston and the Seneca Falls Development Corporation. The former town board, Greg Lazaro, Vic Coretta, Doug Avery, Dave DeLeis, and Lou Ferrara. The current town board, Dave DeLeis, Doug Avery, Don Dyson, and Steve Churchill. I'd like to thank Ed Flynn and Labello Associates. I'd also like to thank Chris Fowler from New York State Department. I'd like to recognize and thank the local planning committee, Dave Mansfield, Ian Sandroni, Doug Avery is here, Jeremy Klingerman is here, Menzo Case is here, Joelle is here, Jerry Goodnow, Bob McCarthy is here, Greg Zellers is here, Rhonda Destino, Kate Bennett is here, and obviously Mitch Rowe is here. And finally, I'd like to thank the people of Seneca Falls for their input into the many proposed projects and for their patience. The projects selected for Seneca Falls Downtown Revitalization Initiative will provide a boost to the entire community and region, investing in our significant cultural assets, supporting small businesses, and creating new housing opportunities. Seneca Falls will be well positioned in the future. I look forward to seeing these projects come to life. Thank you.